guys! So, today we're going to talk about the Columbian Exchange. So, it had some really good things, it had some really bad things, and it had some ugly things. But that's okay, because like everything else in history, you have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly in order to get a well-rounded picture of an event, right? Right. Alright, so the Columbian Exchange, the definition is the exchange of goods between the Old World and the New World. So, remember how we were talking about Christopher Columbus accidentally discovering the Americas? He actually wasn't the first one to discover the Americas, but that's a story for another day. Well, when he did, remember the Europeans were trying to find that Northwest Passage, so they kept coming over to the Americas. Well, when you come over, you bring things because there's no Walmart in the middle of the ocean. So you need food and you need supplies to tide you over. And then when you get over to the Americas, you get their foods. And then it, carries you back across the ocean. Well, once you realize you guys don't have the same kind of foods, kind of like what happened with Europe and Asia, you're going to want to trade and exchange. So that's the Columbian Exchange. It was called the Columbian Exchange because of Christopher Columbus, but he's not the one who started it. Okay, so the goods that came from Europe, that was like coffee beans, peaches, pears, olives, citruses, bananas, honeybees, because honey was a thing over there, sugarcane, onions, turnips, grapes. We also had grains like wheat, rice, barley, oats. And then we also had livestock, cattle, sheep, pigs, and horses. I know, those things weren't in America. Crazy to believe, right? Now, from the Americas, what they got sent to Europe was tobacco, pumpkins, turkeys, yum, love them, sweet potatoes, squash, avocados, pineapple, peppers, cocoa beans, because chocolate, peanuts, potatoes, tomatoes, corn, beans, vanilla, and so all these foods were coming back and forth between Europe and the Americas. And so it gave everyone new flavors, new foods to experiment with. So it really enriched life, right? It certainly did in Europe. Now, what happens when you bring animals from one place to another? Well, you also get their diseases. And if you don't have an immunity to the disease because it's never been there before, well, that's when people start to get really sick and die. What's a really good modern day example of a disease that came from an animal, spread to humans, crossed borders, and is causing a lot of issues health-wise and killing people? I think that could be COVID. See how it's still an issue? Okay, so, but back then, it was really, really bad for the Native Americans because they had centuries of being without all these crazy diseases that Europeans had naturally built up an immunity to. So when the Europeans come and they bring their animals, they're bringing all these diseases, and it is wiping out the Native American population. Wiping them out. Over 90% die just from diseases. That's a lot. Okay? Now, some of the Europeans that come over are thinking, oh, they're dying because they're heathens and they're not accepting Christianity. Wrong. Granted, back then people were superstitious, so you can kind of understand why they thought that. But diseases spread fast. We're living proof of that. One day we're hearing about COVID and these pop-up hospitals in China. The next we're hearing of COVID cases in Washington, and then it just spreads. You can't stop diseases, and they just spread. Right? But back then they had their superstitions. Today we have our science. That's just how it works. Okay, so that's the bad and the ugly. The diseases, the killing out the 90% of the Native American population. But you're getting this exchange of foods. And it's really making life better for those that survive in the Americas and also for the Europeans. You're getting people wealthy from the trade. You're getting people healthier from all the different foods that they're able to eat. It's a big deal.